This is the iPhone XR, a phone released in 2018, making it 5 years old. So how does it feel in 2023? Let's find out. The iPhone XR has a 6.1-inch liquid retina HD display. Screen quality on this phone is not 1080p, but it's still more than good enough for consuming content, browsing through apps such as Facebook or Instagram, and sending messages. It also has haptic touch, meaning when you hold down on things, it can distinguish between the levels that you press with force on the screen, a feature that is on the iPhone XR we see here. Its maximum brightness is 625 nits. Generally, in day-to-day use, using it outside in the sun, this brightness is more than good enough, although in direct sunlight you may struggle to see areas of the screen. It does still have portrait mode, and it can film video in 4K 60, also in HD, and 4K 24 or 4K 30, so a variety of options. It has Face ID in the notch along with many iPhones, and this performs very similarly to many iPhones at the time. Apple Pay is also great, a double tap of the power button, and you can use this to wirelessly pay with your cards using NFC at tills contactless enabled. Its network capability is 4G, it does not have 5G, unlike some of the recent iPhones from the iPhone 12 onwards. Running iOS 16, this phone is smooth and up to date. Definitely feels good for a 2023 phone, and for a phone that is 5 years old, the software support is unmatched, especially compared to Android. Rumours speculate this iPhone will get iOS 17, which is at least one more major update. As we know, Apple are great with software, and that is definitely a huge benefit of this. There are many little hints that this is running iOS 16, being able to customize your own home screen. Everything like this just makes it still feel up to date and in keeping with the newer iPhones. As we know, iPhones switched away from the rounded body style from the iPhone 12 models and newer. This has the rounded body style and it does feel nicer in your hand. I'm used to my iPhone 12 Pro and this just sort of fits into your palm very nicely. A nice glass back, and I love this red colour. It's so vibrant and it really stands out in the crowd. The only negative of a glass back is the fact that it's a fingerprint magnet, so if you touch it without a case, your fingerprint is going to be on there, and that's not great for day-to-day looks and design. So definitely keep a cloth handy so you can keep wiping all your fingerprints off. It has a 7 megapixel front camera, and this is more than good enough for basic selfies, but it may not be as great at night. This is a photo taken on this phone, and as you can see, the quality is fairly good when you zoom in, although it does lack some definition and some sharpness in darker areas. The contrast therefore means that there is lots of shadow on this plant. An area the iPhones I personally feel lacks is the selfie camera. My iPhone 12 Pro selfie camera isn't that great, and you can see here, although I was doing this handheld, the quality is not particularly good, especially compared to that rear camera photo we took earlier. You can see just lacks definition generally. It's so smooth when you're opening apps like Safari and Camera. It opens really quickly and you would not know that this is a 5-year-old phone. Compared to when this was released, there have been so many improvements through software. For example, the battery percentage never used to be displayed in the top right hand corner, but with iOS 16 this feature was introduced, and useful things like this help it feel modern, up to date and in keeping with current phones. Now, editing Theo here, I have to add a couple of points. Obviously this isn't the same phone, you can see the colour change, but I'm showing you the base of my iPhone 12 Pro because they are very similar at the bottom. They have a lightning port, as you can see here, and then they have a dual speaker system. One on the base of the phone, the right hand side speaker, and then one at the speaker that you'd use for calls, also plays when you're listening to music or consuming videos. As for whether or not to purchase this phone in 2023, I think this is an opinion-based thing. This is going to get the next software update, so if you can buy used or refurbished at a low price, it could still serve you well. However, I do not recommend you purchasing a particularly expensive model because it is not going to last as long as perhaps some of the later models. If you already have this phone, this will do you well for a good 2 years. Minimum, and I think people will keep it for longer because despite not getting regular software updates, it still feels modern. Even the iPhone XS I did a video on recently feels modern, and that was released in 2015.